This is the Making Waves podcast. My name is Dave Rotman. We're here with Tony Kayser, District 14 House. Welcome, Tony.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for inviting me to join your audience today to share my experience in Pierre so far. I'm a father of five, married for 38 years, and I run a financial service company for the past 38 years. A lot of experience talking to families and individuals about their concerns. So I think I take a lot with me to Pierre based on my prior experience in building a client base.
And I can say with my personal experience that you worked really hard to win. You knocked on a lot of doors, and you did a great job of campaigning. So thank you for being with us.
Appreciate it. Yes.
You have a couple of bills. One is HB 1066. It's been amended quite often. So it's 1066J.
Right.
So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. The reason for the J, pertains to people that are registered in South Dakota to vote. They may not actually live in South Dakota, which affects our local elections. So spending a lot of time with the lobbyists for the PNB, the mail forwarding companies, and the Secretary of State's office to get it right. There's a lot of amendments added over the way, but across the finish line being 1066J. Not really what the bill they wanted to see, but I told them this is not a lobbyist bill or Secretary of State's bill. This is a citizen's bill.
This has been an issue. There's been quite a few people who have been registering to vote in South Dakota, in some cases who have never even stepped foot in South Dakota. And there's a lot of people who have RVs and they don't have a permanent place of residence. So this is an issue for South Dakota's voters.
It's been an issue for many years. There's a lot of articles written about the problem we've had in South Dakota. Nobody's been really to actually kind of face it and really run with it. And this year's it was much different. You got to realize there's 50,000 people registered to vote with appeal box only. And 50,000 is a big number, but what does that really mean in terms of South Dakota? That's a population of Pierre, Mitchell, Huron, and Brandon. That's 50,000 people. So people say that these people actually live here. They don't. They're appeal box only voters. Most of those don't actually live here. So the bill is introduced to establish a federal ballot, which means if you are actually asking for an absentee ballot because you don't live here, or probably don't live here in a lot of cases, you ask for an absentee ballot. If all you have is a appeal box only address, without having a physical address description of where you actually live, now this here bill passed. It says that you are eligible to vote. You can't deny somebody the right to vote. That's a national mandate, federal mandate. We're going to give them a federal ballot, which means they can vote for the presidency and vice president and our U.S. congressmen and senators. They cannot vote in our local. So it'll be two different ballots. The appeal box only voters, they get the federal ballot, not the statewide ballot. The problem has been that they've been voting in our local elections, not living here, probably in a lot of cases, not having any skin in the game, and really affecting our local elections to the point where it's really, and what happens too is that for those people who are appeal box only, they count towards our redistricting, which has really changed some of the redistricting problems in the past,
Sure do.
But it does not count towards a census, which means there's $658 billion the federal government has available to give states based on census. So people say, well, they're not really affecting South Dakota. If they are residents, appeal box, if they don't live here, what's the problem? They're not using our roads, not using our school systems probably, because they're probably older RVers potentially, but they do actually, if we see, because the census is, because we're missing out federal dollars there, plus the 27% of our state budget is Medicaid. $1.2 billion is what South Dakota spends on Medicaid, 27% of the budget. How many of those RVers or appeal box only are actually on our Medicaid system, which costs us a fortune? So they do affect our budget. They affect our elections in a huge way. So this is a good bill to really, for the first time, put it to a vote of the legislature, where we have established why it's a problem and why it needs to be fixed. It overwhelmingly passed 47 to 22. I think it was the right timing. I think the right people were in place. I had a lot of people work with me to help me pass the bill, and we spent a lot of time behind the scenes getting it right.
Now, I've been the data guy for the South Dakota Republican Party since 2014. I'm not the data guy right now, but I was, and I know that this is an issue. It's been an issue since the time I started doing data work. The folks just don't live in South Dakota, have been voting here and affecting our elections and, as you said, redistricting. And it never occurred to me that they also could be on Medicaid. This is a big deal, and thank you for taking the bull by the horns, because up until now, nobody's been willing to address this issue.
Right. Well, I think the consensus has been that they're not really causing any harm, which, and I think people are focused on the election part, but again, I went a little deeper to say that financially it costs us a lot. It's always about the dollars, right? Once you get the dollars in place, people are a little more motivated to act. So I think that was one element that I brought into the conversation, but maybe wasn't talked about in the past, potentially, that made a difference.
Well, thank you for doing this. Your other bill is HB 1208B, so there's a lot fewer amendments on that one. So this one defines residency, and this also is an election integrity issue. Could you tell us a little about what it does?
Right, and what that does, and that really came about to establish what residency is in South Dakota. The language currently is, when you actually go to register to vote, you sign an affidavit to say with a potential perjury, and the current law it says I have lived in South Dakota for 30 days, open-ended. Okay, and when you can come to South Dakota and register and actually have a one-night stay, proof of one-night stay, go to the DMV the next day and get a driver's license, and register to vote the same day. So you can actually come to South Dakota for over a weekend, get a one-night stay, take that with the receipt of that one-night stay to the DMV, and with that receipt of a one-night stay, you can actually register to get a driver's license that day and register to vote. But the caveat is, or whatever language you want to use, they sign an affidavit with penalty of perjury. They would swear that they've been here for 30 days, and the penalty of perjury is 2 years in jail, $4,000 fine. So these people are knowingly signing a penalty of perjury, but they're being told, if you go on the internet and look for the best place to have a residency to avoid taxes, South Dakota pops up. But they're being told, don't worry about signing that affidavit because they don't enforce it, which is true. That's
true. Absolutely true.
That's a whole new issue, right?
Right.
So this is the first step of maybe another bill next year, possibly. So in doing that, they're on our voter rolls, for example, again, and I think it's really a concern we need to look at more seriously. We want people to actually be residents that actually live here and actually are involved in our communities and know and live with us and know the local issues.
This sounds like another great bill, because I know that this residency has been a problem in a number of issues. Petitioners, when they're circulating petitions, residency, as you said, and voting. This is another issue that has been something that has been neglected, I think, by the state of South Dakota and by the legislature. And again, somebody had to have the courage to take this bull by the horns. So thank you again.
Well, and the residency, and I apologize, I kind of got lost in that last question. Okay, so back to the residency bill. Okay,
sure.
So what it is, it establishes 30 consecutive days. Right now it's 30 days. Okay, this is 30 consecutive days where you usually sleep. And I don't think it's too much to ask somebody, if you're state shopping, which is what happens, they're shopping states, that person in California could have kept their residency in California and still RV'd.
Right.
They'd have to choose South Dakota to actually bypass their laws and taxes in California.
Right.
So it's 30 consecutive days. And that makes it easy for the auditors. I mean, 30 days, if they ever got challenged to have to prove that, it could be 30 days over 5 years. This way, the new residency law would be, if you're ever challenged, you got to prove you're in South Dakota for 30 consecutive days. Definition where you usually sleep. So it makes it a lot easier. So if it's ever challenged, that makes it easy for the auditor to actually have them show proof of residency. We made a definition of what residency is. We tightened it up, the residency, which makes it easier for everybody. And again, and I've heard people say, well, you can't put that demand on RVers. Well, I say, well, seriously, you're in a vehicle. If you pick South Dakota to be a resident, you can't park that RV for 30 days and experience South Dakota before you fill up with gas, buy a cup of coffee, and you're back on the road again. That's not too much to ask for us as South Dakotans to at least to have you say, yeah, I spent 30 days in South Dakota, as opposed to an overnight stay. So that's why it's important to tighten it up, because easier for auditors. But there again, if you're truly saying you want to be in South Dakota, at least spend 30 days here.
Again, as a data guy, I know that there's people who are registered to vote at electrical substations, at RV parks, at state parks, and at sometimes Walmart.
Yep.
And they're registered to vote here, and they obviously don't live here.
Right.
This is another issue that needs to be addressed. So thank you again. This is your first session in Pierre. What is your overall feel for Pierre?
Being there for the first time, spending time with people that have been there for many years, many sessions, I think they're excited this year to know they're not by themselves. They have a lot of people, new freshmen that came in, this year because of I think eminent domain. I think a lot of the ballot issues this year really drove the outcome of the elections. So you have a lot of freshmen there and a lot of great people. I see a lot of freshmen that I'm now serving with that really have great integrity, passion, and the ability to do the job well. And so I think seeing that, and I think to have the new leadership, appreciate the new faces and the new energy, just a whole different environment. So I think it's been a good year so far. Like any session with people, especially new people, it's gotten kind of point where sometimes where maybe it wasn't as tight together as we wanted it to be. But so we had to rally a couple times to kind of keep it all together. But I think we've done some great things. I think there's a lot of great things to happen yet.
It is the people's legislator.
It is.
Thank you so much, Tony, for being with us. This has been the Making Waves podcast. My name is Dave Rotman. We're here with Tony Kayser, District 14 House.
Thanks, Dave.